Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. And what we're going to make are cookies, but we're going to make coconut, where's my coconut? Coconut, oatmeal, and raisin cookies. Now you can change it up a little bit too. If you don't want to use the dried raisins, go ahead and try using the dried cranberries. They really go really well with this. You also can put chocolate chips in them if you want. Use, whatever, if you want to use white chocolate, dark chocolate, bittersweet, whatever, semi-sweet. You can put 1/3 of a cup of chocolate chips in them too if you want. But I wanted to make the recipe where it was, well, a little bit less sugary without the chocolate. But these, if you like coconut, and you like oatmeal, and I think who doesn't, I think you're going to like this cookie. So let's get started. First, let's talk about our dry ingredients. And what I like about this cookie too is that instead of using all-purpose flour, we're using white whole wheat flour. And all you need is 1 cup of whole wheat, white whole wheat flour. And by the way, I no longer put the recipe below the video, and I'm sorry about that. So if you'd like to jot this down, I'm hopefully going to go through slowly enough and clearly enough that you can catch the recipe, okay? So bears repeating just one more time. 1 cup of white whole wheat flour. The next thing you're going to put in is 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. We're also going to be putting in 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then with my little whisk here, I'm just going to give it a good stir, and we'll set aside the dry for the moment. Now working on the wet ingredients is what we're going to first put in is our butter. And you're going to need 6 tablespoons of butter, okay? And you can use unsalted as I'm using today. And I've even used the salted butter and it still comes out fantastic. So, but this is 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And I'm just going to put that in there. And also I cut it up into cubes because I think it's easier to cream and faster for the video. Now I'm going to warn you about the sound of the mixer. You might want to turn down your device because it can be loud. Okay, you're going to spend a bit more time than that breaking up and creaming your butter, but I want to move it along for the video. The next thing that you're going to need is brown sugar, and I'm using the light. You can use dark if you prefer. That's all you have. You need 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar, and we're going to just cream that with the butter. Thing we're going to do is put in 1 egg, and mine's I believe a large today, at room temperature, so we'll beat that egg in there. We're also going to be putting in 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. 1.5 teaspoons. And we'll beat and cream that together. Now make sure though that, spend a couple minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, creaming it so it's nice and smooth. I'm just kind of getting to the bottom of my bowl here and clean up my sides here a little bit. Next, we're going to be putting in our oatmeal, okay? And you will be using 1 cup And I'm using the old-fashioned, the regular. I'm not using the quick. Just 1 cup of that. I'll put that in there. Okay. And then you're really just mixing and blending. And then I'm going to be putting in a 1/2 cup of my raisins. You can use the golden, you can use the dark or the light, depending on what you have or what you like. Or like I said, change it up to dried cranberries. Or another one is dried cherries. Oh, that would be so good. And that's a 1/2 cup of your dried fruit. And last but not least is your coconut. I'm using a shredded sweetened. You can certainly use the unsweetened shredded coconut if you prefer, and you're using 1/3 of a cup of that. Now again, I'll probably get questions, could you put nuts in this recipe? I generally don't, but if you do, I would suggest maybe 1/3 of a cup of whatever type of chopped nuts you like, walnut or pecans or whatever. And then also if you want to add those chocolate chips, whatever flavor, those are 1/3 of a cup too. But again, like I said, I'm not putting them in this recipe today. Generally because the person that I'm making and getting these cookies, well, they don't like them. So I'm leaving it out, but I have made them with the white chocolate chips and morsels, and oh, they're fantastic. They really are. Okay, now once that you blend that and everything's come together quite nicely, okay, I hope you can see that. All right, now we're going to add our dry ingredients slowly so we don't put flour all over the kitchen. Okay, and you can see how quickly it just comes together, because it's really just basically creaming and then combining, you know, stirring and blending. You could do this by hand or with your hand mixer, or by hand. It's really up to you. It's what you prefer to do. And we'll just set that beater aside. And now I'm just gonna, you know, check the cookie dough, clean up the sides of my bowl. When these cookies bake, the whole kitchen smells so good. It really does. And then you have your nice cookie dough. Okay, it's not real sticky. You'd think it would be. And of course you need a cookie pan or sheet. If you prefer and want to use your parchment paper, you want to use your mats, or as I did today, I just lightly sprayed it with an oil spray. It's really going to be up to you what you do. The next thing is as far as the size. I'm using this particular size scoop. It's roughly, I think, a little over a tablespoon of it. You certainly don't have to have or use a scoop. I like a scoop because I feel that the cookies are more uniform and they come out looking pretty close the same to each other. And I'm just going to you know, put one or two down. Now these really don't spread too much, at least I don't find they do. So I would suggest to put them, you know, 1.5 inches apart, you know, that kind of thing, just to play it safe. And you're going to bake it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees, and it could take you anywhere from 12 to 13, 14 minutes. So do start checking them, and if you're cooking 2 trays at a time, of course, you know, I probably don't have to remind you to, you know, rotate your trays on baking. But I do start checking mine quite early. I really do. I start looking at mine around 7 minutes or so, because, you know, all our ovens set up so differently. So it's kind of hard just to say a set rule, you know, this is how many minutes it comes out, because It really varies. It really does. Now, I would let them sit on the hot tray for 2 or 3 minutes before you move them to a cooling rack, because they have a tendency to kind of break apart and crack. And if you'd like them to, you know, stay whole with the whole integrity of the cookie, I would suggest to do that, okay? Now I'm going to rinse my hands quickly, and I'd like to show you what they look like once they're baked up. Okay. And this is how they turn out. Now, if you don't like them, that you think they're too tall, or you don't like the roundness of them, you can lightly take your clean hands and just kind of press them down a little bit if you want before. But I like them nice and tall and high, okay? You're going to have a nice golden brown on the bottom, and they'll have some crispy edges, which I think are fantastic. But if you don't like that, just, you know, break those off like that. And, you know, they're not going to be all perfect. They're going to have, you know, some openings and cuts into them, so they're not going to be perfect like that. But let's break open one. And when you do, you will find a moist, chewy, soft, delicious cookie. And then you'll be able to taste your dried fruit that you've put in it, or if you went ahead and put some nuts in them. But I don't know if you can see, as I'm squeezing the cookie down, how moist they are. So, but they have a bit of a chew to them, and they're excellent. On the outside, you will have a hard finish as well as the bottom. But as I said, when you break them open, you're going to have that wonderful chew and taste of the oatmeal, the dried fruit, and if you put the chocolate chips in, or whatever type of flavored morsels that you put in. So there you have it. And this is where I always say to people, hey, if you try this recipe and you like it, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you have a question, and I will answer and hopefully do it in a very timely manner. Also, the reason that I don't bother putting the recipes on anymore, and I'm not alone on this, that's for sure, but I just got tired of seeing my work pinned and posted and taken as other people's property. And when you've written to me, I find my work on other sites, and I can't answer you, and it's so frustrating that it's just not worth the time. And again, I'm not alone on that, that's for sure. So please know that I only post my videos on YouTube, so that I can answer your questions or your comments, that kind of thing. If you're so inclined, you'd like to subscribe to the channel, well, I can't thank you enough. Or ring the bell, or give a little like. That would be really most kind of you. So I always want to say again, thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.